a letter to congressional leaders, Yellen claims as of August 1st, the outstanding debt of the United States will be at a statutory limit. CBN News Capitol Hill correspondent Abigail Robertson joins us now. Abby, even with that warning, getting congressional support to raise the debt ceiling is not going to be easy.
That's right, Jenna. And Republicans say Democrats are in a spending free-for-all and argue they'll only support raising the debt limit if Democrats promise major spending reforms.
This tax and spending spree is headed our way.
With the current debt closing in on $29 trillion, Republicans want to see substantial cuts in projected government spending over the next 10 years. President Biden's budget plans would take the national debt well over $40 trillion within 10 years. And Republicans warn that's dangerous.
In fact, we're playing Russian roulette with our economy by continuing to pour trillions of dollars into our economy.
The Treasury Department says they will need to take extraordinary measures to avoid defaulting before they run out of cash, likely in October or November.
Let there be no question, we will address the debt limit.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi argued Republicans addressed the debt limit 3 times under President Trump with Democratic support and accused McConnell of playing partisan games.
He's always been there to be an obstruction to a Democratic president. The full faith and credit of the United States is never to be placed in doubt.
President Joe Biden claims it's not new spending that's the problem.
The reason for the significant debt is because of their debt, their tax limit, their tax cut.
Don't get 10 Republican senators on board to support this. They could be forced to increase the debt limit alone through their upcoming budget reconciliation bill, which only requires a simple majority to pass the Senate. John, Jenna.
All right, Capitol Hill correspondent Abigail Robertson. Thanks, Abby. Well, joining us now is author, economist, and chairman of the Task Force on Economic Revival at FreedomWorks, Stephen Moore. Stephen, always great to have you. Steve, is there any way this debt limit debate does not become another political showdown over government spending? And in addition to that, regardless of who's in office, is this a smart way for the country to pay for its bills?
Well, the smart way for the government to pay for its bills would be for the government to pay for its bills. And we're not doing that, right? And we see the debts getting higher and higher and higher. What's going on in Washington right now is a financial catastrophe, in my opinion. And the idea that we're going to spend another $4 trillion this year, adding on to the trillions of dollars Biden and the Democrats have always added to the budget already, is really frightening to me, frankly. I think it is going to lead us over a fiscal cliff that will take a long, long time for us to ever get out of if we can. And so the first thing to do is just stop spending. We don't have the money to continue to go back into massive amounts of debt. Your report is right that under the Biden plan, we would add $20 trillion more debt over the next 10 years. Think about that, $20 trillion of more debt. That's more debt than we issued from the Revolutionary War all the way till the end of the Cold War. So these are incredibly irresponsible numbers. I think if Republicans were smart, they would say, look, you broke it, you fix it, or you buy it. I mean, this is all a result of the massive spending and borrowing that Biden has proposed that I don't think the voters signed up for.
Steve, could Democrats pass a debt ceiling increase on their own without any Republican votes?
The big question now is whether Democrats can get a single Republican vote for the debt ceiling, and I don't believe they can. I can't imagine any Republican would vote for, this massive increase in our debt without, incredible spending reforms. But what are the chances of getting those? I think they're very close to zero with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer running the Congress. I think the big issue right now, even more immediate than this national debt limitation increase, is whether you get 10 Republicans in the Senate to vote for this $1.2 trillion debt bill that it was introduced. They say they have a deal on infrastructure. By the way, it's not really an infrastructure bill. It's a green energy bill. But there are a lot of big key votes coming up. And Democrats need Republican support. And Republicans, I think they should be coming out with a bill that shows how we could cut $2 or $3 trillion out of the debt over the next 10 years rather than adding to it.
Well, Steve, I know you just said earlier to stop spending in Washington. Biden's budget projects huge deficits for years to come. What's the impact of the exploding national debt?
Well, we're seeing one of the impacts right now, and that's the higher prices. And one of the things that made me almost fall off my chair when I was watching Joe Biden give his CNN town hall meeting, and he said the solution to high inflation is to have more debt. And I thought, gee, that's a perverted logic if I ever heard it. Obviously, the more money that we print, right, and the more money that we borrow, and the more money we spend that we can't pay for means more inflation, because it just means we're pouring more and more money into the economy. And that's something even someone with an economics 100 degree understands. It's not a very hard concept. So the first step is stop all the new spending. By the way, the economy is in a recovery right now. This is the first time in American history that during a recovery we've massively spent. We usually spend money during the crisis and then pay down the debt during the recovery. What Biden is talking about is massively adding to our debt when we're in a recovery. That makes no sense.
All right, Steve Moore with FreedomWorks. We'll leave it there this evening. We appreciate you coming on and your expertise as always.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.